Officials in Gatineau, Quebec, are also keeping a close eye on water levels today. They estimate more than 150 buildings are at risk of flooding, as well as dozens of roads. Sarah Lovett joins us from Laval. Sarah, what's the situation like in the Quebec region right now?
Well, I just want to show you, because this is a typical road, what people in Quebec are dealing with if they live by a river. This is the Rivière des Mille Îles, and every year at spring thaw, it usually does flood, but every year means anxiety for these homeowners. And there was a lot of worry heading into the previous weekend about flooding throughout Quebec. We have two good news, two things that were leading to a little bit less flooding than we expected. First of all, the rain forecast was actually downgraded. So on Friday, we were preparing for a lot of rain Saturday into Sunday, and then Sunday into Monday, and there was less rain than expected. The other thing that we were worried about was the temperature being warmer. I won't say that I'm not cold. I am cold. I should be wearing gloves, but that is good news for the flooding, because that meant that the snow further north was not able to melt and create a big problem. Now, there are problems in other places in the province. Obviously here, owners are watching closely. Just in the past half hour that we've been here, we have seen the water rise a little bit. You mentioned Gatineau. The city officials there watching the situation closely. Just north of Montreal, there are several bridges that had to be closed as a result of the rising water. The province has a really great map that allows people to see just what's happening and how high the waters are, but also to see if it's expected that those waters are going to rise or fall. Good news is a lot of them are seeing that the water levels may fall, but everybody's still pretty worried. You mentioned it, keeping an eye on several places, residences. There have been some evacuations as a result of these floods.
And as you mentioned, Sarah, this is not entirely unique, that flooding is often a concern at this time of year in these areas. So there's been preparations for possible flooding. What has the province learned from years past?
Yeah, I remember, because I was out pretty much for 3 weeks straight in 2017 in the Montreal area, including here in Laval. Massive flooding. It really caused a lot of damage, and that was because of lack of preparation. It took people by surprise. Of course, we know with climate change that there is more and more flooding. Just last week, I was out with some city officials showing, at least in Montreal, here in Laval and other places, they had set up in terms of pumps in problem areas. Those were the big ones. They also set up sandbags, but these aren't just the small sandbags. These are 1-ton sandbags that they placed. Of course, you can't place them everywhere, and so the city has to make choices, or municipalities have to make choices about where to place them. And then, of course, people themselves, residents, they're more and more prepared for this type of thing. The city, the municipalities have changed the flood map zones, so they're aware that they're in an area that could possibly be flooded. And here's the Quebec Public Security Minister about that, about what residents are preparing for.
They're doing things to protect their houses, and I was happy to see people helping each other. In some locations, it was elders, so neighbors, citizens came forward to help. Quite happy to see this.
So while it sounds like good news, people always worry. We'll be watching and waiting to see if indeed the waters will start to descend.
Great. Well, hopefully so. Thank you, Sarah.